Hey, what's happening, everybody? Sorry for the repeat of the introduction. We're going to go over some business building. There's been some talk about rates being bad. Rates aren't bad, folks. Rates are coming up a little bit. Just depends on what area you run. So if you're not getting your result in your area, maybe you need to change the area you run. You know, if anybody wants to come in, they can come in. I put the link up here. Let me put that link up one more time. If I can get my mouse to get over here to this other screen, we will put it up there. And then we'll pin it at the top. All right, so what's going on, Eugene? Not much. Just snowing here in Michigan, so if you're out on the roads, be careful. Safety first, right? Safety always. So this is our beautiful whiteboard, sponsored by Thunder Funding, brought to us by Thunder there, so we'll put them up there at the top. Call Scott Kennedy. You tell him I sent you. You're going to get a great deal. Trust me on that one, folks. All right. So, I'll give you an example. So I went through our software program we use, AXISTMS. I went through that, and I got some numbers here. And this is short miles, medium miles, and long miles of the owner-operators over here. And what do you think these guys are getting? Because, you know, people are saying spot market, you know, be $1. Come on, you know, let's get real. Could there be $1 in there? Yes. Is it going to be $1 everywhere? Absolutely not. It's been that way ever since I've been in trucking. So I'm kind of far away from the screen, so if I put on these old man glasses, these spectacles, and I can see Jose says, rates are the same as always. Right, they're up and down, right? They're up and down. So here's an example. I got 8 loads here that were booked today in today's market. And we'll show you what they are. And I'll put them in blue. You might be able to see blue on there. Okay, so the first one that we got is 640 miles. And this will be miles here, right? And this is going to be the rate per mile here. All right, 640 mile run, $3.36 a mile. Our next one's 668. This driver at 299. We got 925 miles. This driver got 357 for 925 miles. Then we got 994 miles at 307 per mile. And then we got a driver that has 508 miles at 270. We got another one at 791 at 297. 204 at 461. And 278 at 414. So, all these numbers are above the so-called minimum or average, right? So-called average that you know the DAT puts up there. Everybody knows how I feel about that, right? Everybody knows how I feel about that. Look, when you put numbers out there and you do averages, and you guys want to listen, and I'll put this headset on, so I think the dean's trying to come in. Let's let the dean in here. Hopefully he's got good stuff. What's up, Dean?
What's up, man?
All right. So, you know, if all these YouTubers, it drives me crazy, Dean, when all they do is they want to talk about the average that DAT posts or freight waves, right? Because these folks wrote an algorithm who's to say their algorithm is even correct?
Right.
Right? Did you write it?
Yeah, of course.
You know? So I don't even go by that. I mean, you could use it if you want to as a starting basis or, what you think's going on. But would you not say that these are good numbers, Dean, in this environment?
I just got on. I wasn't watching it before, so I don't know what you got up there, man.
Okay, here's what I'll tell you. I took 8 loads from today that are
Okay.
guys and gals out there, book loads, okay? 640-mile load, $336 a mile. 668-mile load, $299. 925 miles, $357.
Dang.
994 miles, $307. 508, $270. 791, $297. 204 miles, $461. 278 miles, $414. Those are real numbers. And actually, these rate per miles are going to be higher than this because these are actual miles here. Right? Not the miles that are posted on the rate con. These are actual miles from door to door. Because when Access TMS, you put in that address, it's address to address. So these are numbers that it's address to address. So these rate per miles are actually higher, right? They're going to be higher than what they are here if you look at the rate cons miles. Because rate cons mile is not going to be 640. It's probably going to be around 620. Right?
Right.
So, at that, door to door, these are the miles. Or, I mean, these are the rates. We got 336, 299, 357, 307, 270, 297, 461, and 414. Of course, the lower miles are the $4+ mile loads. These 900-mile loads are awesome. They're $3 to $357, right? And then the mid-range 600-mile runs are averaging in the mid threes. This was $299. That was $336. Right? So what are you doing, Dean?
Nothing, man. I just got done. Eating some dinner, man.
Oh, that's awesome. And these runs are all over the country, right? These are all over the place.
But the rates are bad, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Look, if you want to believe what you hear out there, go ahead and believe it. Right? Go ahead and believe it. Turn your trucks in. Go work for a company and stay there. Because we're building businesses. We're building owner-operators that are entrepreneurs. They have the right mindset and skill set. If you have the mindset that, rates are going to $1. Rates are going to, $1.50. Whatever you want to say. That's not the right mindset. You know what I say? If the rate goes to $1, I'm going to find $3. I'll find it and I'll haul it.
Well, it's no different than if you own a restaurant.
Right.
During COVID, they didn't think of ways to go out of business. They thought of ways to stay in business.
Exactly.
Or when, I mean,
they maneuvered, right?
Right. You got to pivot.
The steakhouses, all of a sudden now they do takeout.
That's right.
They didn't do takeout before, but they had to pivot, right? What do you say, Dean? Hey, Shannon. Hello. What do you say, Dean? You got to have the will
To do the drill, baby.
to do the drill, baby.
That's
And
right.
there's a lot of folks out here that don't have the will to do the drill. Right? They get in this business thinking it's easy. No business is easy. Do you think I got to where I'm at this point if it was easy? I had a lot. I sacrificed a lot to get to where I am today. Right? I didn't sit at home. I got out there. I drove over 3 million miles. I did a lot of driving. I got more miles backwards than a lot of people got going forward. But anyway, it's not that bad, folks. Now, if fuel keeps rising and they don't raise the rates accordingly, then you have to figure another way to run the business. And when that happens, you got to look at all the possibilities and pick the best one for your company. Sadly, people want easy and quick. That's why a lot of people don't respect the process. There is no shortcuts. Exactly, Clyde. CDN freight broker. What do you talk about? I have to rewind to catch start. Well, you got to rewind. Just hang on. Eugene says, staying out running a little bit longer can make things financially at ease. That's correct. Hey, Dean, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. I hit the button and then I don't know what happened. All right, hit the phone and something happened. I don't know what happened.
Jose says he's done so many miles, his hips are yelling at him. Take a 34, Jose. Take a 34. Go get yourself a hot tub. You know, find yourself a masseuse. You know, take care of your hip. But if you're going to do that many miles, there's only one seat to get. You know, some people will say the Bose or whatever, Bosch. Or, what seat's that big one? It's the Bose. I always bought National seats, right? And I got what's called the back cycler. You get this seat with the back cycler in it, it takes care of all your pains. All of them. Even if you have problems with herniated discs and things like that, that seat will do wonders for you. You put that back cycler on, and it keeps your spine moving, right? So it keeps the fluid going in and out so you don't have those back pains. What else you want to talk about, Dean?
Hey, man, I'm just part of the audience, man. I don't really have anything, man.
What do you mean you don't have nothing? You came in here.
Yeah, I figure I just joined the party, man. I'm sitting here, and yeah, man,
Okay, so,
that's all I got.
well, I'll just ask you questions then. I'll use you
All
as
right, cool.
a soundboard.
All right.
We'll just bounce ideas
I'll
off.
come up with something. I'll try to add something. Hopefully, it'll help somebody.
All right, let's give some of the new guys some stuff.
Yeah, let's do that.
Right? Tools of the business. If you're going to run the show the right way.
Okay.
All right? What's one of the tools to running the trucking business that you might need?
That I like. So I like Axis. Well, we'll just start with the money. Let's start with underfunding.
All right.
Let's start with
Thunder.
everybody wants to talk about money. Underfunding. Number one reason you'll go broke is lack of cash flow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't listen.
Number one reason.
Let me tell you something, folks. Don't listen to the guys that are out there talking about don't factor. Use your own money. Finance it all yourself. Go get you a line of credit from your bank and do it yourself. Don't use a factoring company.
Right.
It's not the way to do it.
No.
Cash
No,
flow
because
is
in this
king.
environment, if we just take the masses' opinion and the rates are terrible and the world's caving in, you know, if that's the case, you're not making the money we used to a year ago or 2 years ago. So if the broker takes 6 weeks to pay, how do you have enough money to fund your business? But my follow-up question would be, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to use your own money? Because rich people always use OPM, right? Other people's money. Always. They never use their money, ever.
Right, and that's where we go to mindset. They don't have the mindset to be a true entrepreneur because they're not using other people's money.
Right.
Right? If you look at the big real estate investors, they will go get a $6 million loan for an apartment complex that costs them $7,000 a month payment, but they're getting $20,000 a month generated from the rent.
Right.
They didn't use their money. They're using other people's money.
Correct.
And making money off of it.
Well, think about this. In the day and age we live in, you get points on everything.
Right.
There's a lot of people, a lot of wealthy people, and not even wealthy, but just people in general out there. They will not even use a debit card in this world today because you don't have the protections you do on a debit card versus a credit card. You just have to be diligent enough and disciplined enough to pay it off each month. But why not use someone else's money, and it's going to pay you back on the back end, and you have a lot of protection on the front end. So, best of both worlds. But it all revolves around using other people's money.
Right, other people's money. Let me put something else up here. Since you brought up Thunder Funding.
There you go.
Let me do a copy here. All right, what's another thing?
So what do you want to do? You want to do Samsara or you want to do Axis next? Either one will work.
All right, let's do a scrolling ticker real quick, and let's there you go. You want a good factoring company? There it is. Call them up, talk to one of those fellas. Ask for Scott Kennedy, though. He needs something to do. Scott needs something to do. Trust me. All right, so you need a good software program, right?
Yes.
And it really doesn't matter which one you use. I mean, they're all decent. Some have better features than others, right? And you might not need all the bells and whistles, so you can look at all of them.
Right.
I've used 3 software programs since I've started as an owner-operator. Well, 4. I use my own Excel spreadsheets like you did, Dean. I used to do Excel spreadsheets, but not as good as you. And definitely not as good as Shannon. She'd laugh at our spreadsheets.
She would.
So,
hey, but they work. They work, man. They work. We deserve some credit.
Right. So, here's the 2 that I used when I started this company. Trucking Office. It's a good program. And we use AXISTMS. Right? So I use AXISTMS now because this fits what I want to do. But if you're single owner operator, Trucking Office is a good program also. In a small fleet, right? Depends on what you want to do. So you got to have a good software program to keep track of your numbers. You don't want to be that guy or gal that throws them in a shoebox. Or you do not want to let other people do this for you. Because how do you know they're entering the data right? And do you know where your business is at all times if somebody else is doing it? And we'll go to a CPA in here. I seen a CPA on there. Yeah, CPAs are good, but I won't use one. And why is that? Dean knows me. Why don't I use a CPA, Dean? Do you know why? I think we lost the Dean. I'll tell you why I don't use a CPA. I do all my own taxes, corporate and personal. And the reason why is I want to know every aspect of the business I'm doing. That way I know exactly where everything is, all the money goes, what everything's doing. Right? So you know every piece of your business. And somebody says, well, I don't know taxes. Well, they have tax programs. What do you think that CPA is using? They're just taking a program called, most of them use this, QuickBooks, which I also have. People say, why do you have that when you got these? Because I use a lot of tools. Because it makes it a lot easier. Because most CPAs will use QuickBooks, right?
That's right.
So if you use QuickBooks, what do you need the CPA for? Because if you take your QuickBooks and link it to all your accounts, and then you take something like TurboTax or H&R Block program, right? H&R Block. Put them up there. If you use one of these, you transport this to this, and this is going to tell you if something's wrong or possible audit trail. Then you don't need this. Right? This, with all this together, doesn't take you hardly any time at all to do taxes. But the reason why people hire CPA and I don't, you know why? You know why, Dean?
Well, we've talked about it, but I'm not sure what you're getting at.
IRS, right?
Right.
So what do? If I want to know about depreciation, I'll go read the IRS code.
Right.
It's all online. Every code's there. If you don't know if the deduction's right, go read the IRS code. If you don't know how to depreciate that semi-truck, go read the IRS code. And it'll tell you. But don't take your semi-truck and deduct it, depreciate it like a pickup truck or a car, because that's not what it is. It's called a tractor in the IRS code. It's called a tractor, not a truck. And a tractor has a different years that you can deduct it. So don't fall in that trap. Read the code. But then some people will let this person do it, right? And if this person's putting stuff in here, how do you know what your business is doing? You have to call this person to find out how your business is doing. I'm not going to call that person.
Right. You are that person.
I am that person. So I take QuickBooks, I link that to all my accounts. I have AXISTMS there to run all the trucking business part of it. I take the gross there, and the amount I pay the contractors, that comes into QuickBooks, and this is linked to the bank account. And all I do is go in there and say, yes, that goes in this category, that goes in this category, set up rules. It takes a couple minutes every single month. And now you got profit and loss statements for every single month. You know exactly where your company stands. at all times. You got to learn it and do it yourself. Because if you don't learn it and you have somebody else do it, you have more
How do you know?
opportunity to fail.
Right. And how do you know if someone else is doing it?
Right. You don't know if they're doing it right.
You really don't know. Right.
And you know why I started doing it myself, Dean?
Why is that?
I have to go way back to the early 90s. Let me go way back. Let me try to think.
Man.
So,
Woo.
I bought my first truck, Freightliner FLD 120. It had about 75,000 miles on it or something like that. Bought it from Freightliner out in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I went in. I bought Kiplinger's tax cut. It's called tax cut back then before H&R Block bought it. It's called Kiplinger's tax cut. It's the first program I bought. I put it in there. I did the depreciation. I read the code and stuff, and I came out with a $28,000 deduction, right? And I says, I don't know if that's right. So let me go to a CPA. So I went into H&R Block, right? Because they were just down the street. Lady says, yeah, I can do your depreciation worksheet for you. It's $50. Because I told her I did one, and I said I get $28,000 deduction. She says, no, there's no way possible. That's way too high. You did it
They
right.
don't know trucking. Yeah, they don't know trucking.
They don't know trucking. So, and a lot of CPAs don't know trucking.
They don't.
Right? They don't. So, she gets the book out and she's looking up the IRS code. I said, what are you looking for? Because I already looked it up. Well, I got to see what's depreciation. And I said, it's 3 year. So, she finds it. She does it. She does all the calculation. Hands me the piece of paper, Dean. I handed her $50, but guess what it said on it for deduction?
15.
It said 28,000.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, you told me that was too high. It's no way possible. You sat there. You had to look it up. Then you charged me $50 for something that I already had. Right? Because I wanted to make sure it was... I was checking this program out, and I was checking my stuff out because I read the code, right?
Right.
And from that day on, I says, you know what? I'm just going to learn this along with one of these programs, and I'm going to do it myself. And I never looked back, and that was 30 years ago or whatever.
Long time.
Long time. Yeah, FLD 120, 1995. There you go. Mine was a Viking. My truck came from Viking. If everybody remember Viking, they were out in the Northwest. They ran doubles. And they had the white FLD 120s with the blue visor. The visor is painted blue.
Were their letters green? The letters were green on the trailer?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they had green lettering.
Right, because they ran up and down through California, up through Washington and everywhere, right?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
But that was my first truck. And when I got that truck and went going across 80, I had that baby to the floor, right? It only goes 74 miles an hour. It was tapped out. Because it was geared to run the mountains. Because that's what they did. It wasn't an over-the-road truck. They spec'd it to run the mountains in Washington.
But 74 is fast enough, Jeff.
It would climb. It would climb a hill like nobody's business. Because that's what it was geared to do, right? But on the flat land, you could be at 70 mile an hour and be 1,700 RPMs, 1,800, just tacked out back in that day. But I kept that truck for a few years, 500,000 miles. Then I traded in and got a Ford. So Thunder funding, a software program like Access or Trucking Office. If you want to get into QuickBooks, it's cheap, right? It's like $25 a month.
25. Yeah, I think they just raised it to 30 though sometime this year, but yeah,
Yeah, I
25,
think they
30
did.
bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they
But
did move it up, right?
it's still pretty cheap though. Yeah.
You know, if you want to get a CPA because you don't want to do the work yourself, get a CPA. Just don't hire
Yeah.
one of them companies that some of these mega carriers have, because that company, no. If they send you the reports with smiley faces or sad faces on it and tell you that's how you're doing your business, run.
Right.
Run as fast as you can, because that company's put more people in trouble than anywhere else, because they'll look at all your gross and everything and say, oh, this quarter you got to pay in $8K. You pay it in. Next quarter, oh, you got to pay in $6K. Then you have a breakdown and you have no money because you sent in money that you shouldn't have sent in because you really didn't know that. And we all know who I'm talking about, right? I'm not going to say their name. But if you've been around enough, you'd know.
Right.
All right, so we'll take this off. So we got software programs. And if I'm going to run this business, I'm going to have an ELD. Sorry, but I am. I don't want a logbook. Because if you run without a logbook, or if you run without an ELD, you run a paper log, you're setting yourself up for some pretty bad inspections. Because anybody that runs a logbook doesn't run it legal.
No.
Is that true?
That is true. Not only that, but with the ELD, look, the issue, there's two things here. Number one, the ELD is not the issue. It's the
Right.
hours of service. We can't fix that. So then if you move on to the next issue with the ELD versus the paper log, the paper log is logging 15-minute increments. The ELD
Right.
is running, by the second. You actually have more time with the ELD than you would a paper log.
That's correct. See, that's where the naysayers don't get it, right?
Right.
Because let's say you have an ELD, you go do a fuel, and you only need 50 gallons, and you pull in there, and you pop that 50 gallons off. Let's say you're done in 6 minutes, right? You've picked up 9 minutes from the paper log guy.
Right.
Because the paper log, he's got to log 15 minutes no matter what. Right?
That's right.
And let's say he starts the pump. And he put the line down and it took 18 minutes. He's logging 30, is he not?
He is. Well, he should, but he's probably not, right?
Right. Well, if he drew the line, but then he'd have to tear the page out and redo it, right?
Right.
But let's say it took 19 minutes. He's got to log 30. Where this guy's only logging 19.
Right.
So you're picking up minutes. You know, it's the same thing for when you go in to get your paperwork. Because
Exactly.
you're supposed to be on duty when you go in to grab your paperwork as a shipper, right? If you're in your bunk, off duty, most people don't, but that's when you could put yourself on duty and put load, right? Because you're going in there and actually doing a trucking function to get the paperwork.
That's right.
So if you walk in there to get your paperwork and it takes 4 minutes.
3 minutes. Right.
Or 3
4
minutes, you're logging 3 minutes. The other guy's logging 15. Now that's another 12 minutes you picked up on that guy. You got 21 minutes. But I know that here's what everybody's going to argue about. Yeah, but man, I'm at the dock for 5 hours. And it's
Right.
going against my clock. when I could just draw a line and then show 15 minutes, unload or whatever, then I can start my day because I slept at the dock, right?
That's what they'll argue. Well, they will, but see, I hate. So I don't like that rule where you can extend your day 2 hours. Look, I just
you don't do that.
I booked the load based on the rate and the time that we booked it. If you want me there longer, then you should pay me. That's how I think, and I know others may not agree with that, but then that's fine. But and furthermore, if I'm on, because Jeff, you and I did it for many years. If you're on paper log and you sit there all day, because it used to be we'd unload in the morning, especially pulling reefer.
Right.
You go get loaded 3-4 in the afternoon, and then they want you 400 or 500 miles, down the road the next morning.
Right. So what would they do? You'd be up all day back in the day,
right?
And you would draw that line, come
It's
down,
terrible.
and get ready to go. When you shouldn't have went anywhere.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't safe, but that's how it was back in the day.
Different times, man.
And look, if that's your argument about those little things with the paper log that you can do this and that, and you can, move some numbers around and things like that. If you need to do that to make money, to stay in business, you're already out of business.
Exactly.
If you can't make them, I made just as much money running this as I did paper log.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I
wasn't as tired either.
Bro, I made more money with the e-log as a company driver than I did with the paper log as a company driver.
Right, and a good thing. And what does e-log do? See, everybody thinks. Here's the misconception. Everybody thinks that the big mega carriers came up with ELDs to get rid of the owner-operator. Isn't that what they used to say, Dean? To push the owner-operator out.
Yeah, right? Back in the 90s, that because Warner was the first one.
But that's what they said, right?
Right.
The big megas, they're pushing these ELDs to push us out because we can't run 1, 2, 3, 4 logbooks or whatever they want to do, right?
Right.
They think they got to keep running to make that money. But actually, this helped the small guy. You know why? Because the megas were playing the same game as the owner-operator on paper log. They would tell you that's got to get there.
But you can go faster.
Right? So what this did is that evened the playing field. Because now the company drivers, they run out of time just like everybody else. But what did it do? It put more trucks on the road.
Right.
It did. And it got rid of a lot of the broker loads that were impossible to do unless you had a paper log.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, you don't see near the shenanigans. I mean, the shenanigans were every day back in the day, but nowadays,
here's a shenanigan.
You don't see them.
And there's a click and go that was famous for this. When they first started out, they would take, tell me if I'm right, Dean. They would take a load, right? And they would say it was, let's say it was 400 mile load, right? Got me?
Got it. 400 miles.
400 miles. It picks up at 6 a.m., right? Delivers same day. Okay? 2,200. Is that legal? Can you do it?
So no. I mean, you can drive it, but you can't deliver it.
It's past the 14 hour.
That's right.
Well, let's say 22:30. 14 and a half hours, right?
Hey, they still do that stuff, though, Jeff. That stuff is still on there. Because then you can't even do an A2 split. You can't even work that sometimes.
Right. Because your 14 hours would be 8 p.m. and they want it delivered at 10 p.m. if you don't know
Right.
delivery time, right?
Right.
Well, how do you get there? If your clock stops at 8 and you're not allowed to park at the receiver, how do you get there?
Right. See, and that's
But
the challenge, because if you start at 10 or you start at 9, what if you have a delay in transit and now you could be late and miss it completely?
Right, because if you pick up at 6, let's say you leave at 8 a.m., right? You're rolling at 8. Okay, but you started your clock at 6. You're rolling at 8. You got what? 7 hours? 8 hours?
7, 8,
drive time?
7, 8, yeah, 7, 8 hours, yeah.
8 hours. So that's 4 p.m. plus your 30-minute break. Let's say you're at 4:30. 4:30, right?
Right. Well, you can extend it 2 hours then. You would be able to extend it 2 hours.
But it's not going to help you.
No, because it's still only 10 o'clock. Right.
Right. And this is 10 o'clock.
Right.
And you can't get a split in there. It's impossible to do.
Right.
But they had it. And what would they say? All the drivers do it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're the only one that said you can't do that.
They do. Hey, that's just that's no different when they call and say, yeah, we got a beer load, but you don't need an alcohol permit.
Oh my!
They're
Oh my Lord!
they're famous for that.
Yes.
These guys are famous for it.
And if anybody wants a hint, all you got to do is go to Google, type in convoy beer permit, right?
Yeah.
Convoy beer permit. You get a link from Convoy, the broker, and it's a nice PDF page that tells you if you need a beer permit for that state. And it's a good one too, because it'll have columns that'll say
To, from, and within.
Yeah.
To, from, within, I think, and through or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and through, right?
Yeah, something like
Right.
that, yeah.
So if you have a state right here, let's just say it was Arkansas, and it had a dot here, dot here, dot here. And if you pick up in Missouri doesn't have nothing. That means you can pick up beer in Missouri without a permit. If it has nothing, but you got to go through Arkansas, you can't, because you're going through. You need a permit to take the alcohol through. And do a lot of these owner operators run it? Sure, but if they get caught, I wouldn't want to be them.
That's right.
Right? So that's what that through means. Now, if this was blank, and you picked up Missouri, and you were going to Mississippi with that beer, and Mississippi only had from picked, you could do that, right? Because you come from Missouri, you go through Arkansas, you come into Mississippi, because let's say Tennessee was in here, and they had a from, they didn't have nothing there. You could go through those states, and since there's nothing in the two, you could deliver it there. You'd be totally legal. But if you had a dot there, you could get there, but you're not legal because you're supposed to have that permit to drop that beer off. But that's where brokers will say, you don't need a beer permit. It's beer. It's not liquor.
Right. Yeah, they're famous for saying that stuff.
They don't understand. It's the same thing. Alcohol is alcohol. So, buy the permits if you want to. It's $300 for Ohio. It's $5 for Indiana. Michigan, you don't need one. Texas is... What did I pay for Texas? I can't remember. New Mexico is a 3-year deal. It's not expensive. New Mexico's not that bad. I think New Mexico was like $150 or something. I think it was somewhere in there. I can't remember. And then Texas, it wasn't too bad either. But Texas is a pain in the you know what, because you got to actually go in and file sales tax garbage and everything, even if you didn't pick up anything. Every month you got to go in and fill out their form. It's crazy. Pennsylvania's like $1,000. I won't get it there; it's too expensive. But if you want to run through some of those, buy the alcohol permit. If you want to haul hazmat, get the hazmat permit. We have hazmat, but we don't run it. I spent the money, got the hazmat permit. Because most of the time, those loads don't pay as good as regular loads anyway, for the hassle.
Right.
What's up, Pigtail? Yo, Pigtail. What else we got? So, we did ELD. We got factory software.
TMS.
What?
TMS.
We already got TMS.
Did we do? Oh, you did that, all right.
Yeah, we have Thunder. We have Thunder Funding, or a factoring company, a software program like Axis or Trucking Office, QuickBooks. You can link in there. ELDs. And if you're with Thunder Funding, you don't have to worry about a fuel card. They'll give you EFS fuel card.
Yeah.
With discounts. Right?
Hey, Jeff, here's something else, too. So, a lot of guys, and we've all chatted, right, on the phone, whatever. But here's the thing. It's easier if you have one fuel card so you can log in at any time and know what your fuel cost is. Because if you have 4 or 5 fuel, even if you have 2 or 3, I understand their argument. I'm not discounting it at all. But for me, if you want all your data in one spot, it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier to be able to access that. Just like it is, we were talking about doing your own numbers. Same thing. If you're doing your own numbers, make it as easy as possible so you're not going to 4 or 5 places. And those other places may not even have they may not give you a login. You may have to wait for them to be in the office. So what if you want to do your numbers on the weekend? Now you don't have that ability.
Right, and some of those fuel stops might have good showers or anything else.
Right.
But here's the thing with multiple fuel cards. I get that argument, right? I tell all the contractors, you can use whatever fuel card you want. I'm going to give you the Thunder Funding EFS card, right? And it has good discounts, right?
Right.
And I won't give any other card. People say, why don't you name some of them? Mudflap, RTS, what's the other ones?
XPO.
Nastic, and all them.
Nastic, yeah.
Okay. I use one fuel card. Why is that? Well, that fuel card links right in there for payroll, deducts right from that settlement. If I gave out, let's say Mudflap, Nastic, right, and RTS, like some of these guys are doing, and these guys are running around with 3 or 4 fuel cards, that's a nightmare. Now I got to manually enter all this fuel into every load, and then for IFTA. That's a lot of time.
Right, it is.
And it's just too much paperwork going on, and it's not streamlined.
Nope.
So, yes, I do have some folks that use some of these, and they will email me their receipt, and I'll go into, here's another program I use, right? So I go into Pro Miles,
Yeah.
See? So I have Access TMS, QuickBooks, Pro Miles. Right? So what's Pro Miles do?
Keeps track of your miles.
It's linked into my
And
ELDs.
right.
It's linked into EFS.
Yep.
So it does all the IFTA. Automatic. I don't have to do nothing but hit a button. So if somebody sends me a fuel receipt, then I got to go in and manually enter it into Pro Miles. Right? I don't have to enter it into Access because they paid for it. They paid their own fuel. But I still have to manually enter it into Pro Miles so they get their IFTA credits. So one fuel card, a lot better. And here's why, if you're a single owner operator, it's better to run this card than all these garbage cards. People, they're not garbage. Sure they are. Let me ask you a question, Dean. Can you issue, anybody answer this, because I don't use these cards, but I pretty much don't think you can do it. Can you issue a money code
Yes.
to pay for a lumper off of these
Yes.
cards? Can you?
Oh, off of those cards? I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't think you can.
I don't think so. I don't know. You might be able to do well, you see, that would be a broker situation. But what if the brokers? What if
No,
it's
the brokers,
11,
the
12?
brokers that you can't get a hold of them. Can't get a hold of brokers.
Right.
It's 2 a.m. Can you
Right.
issue a money code off of these cards?
Probably not.
No, because
Probably.
we had this. You know, I was live. Driver says, this receiver, this lumper service doesn't take cash and they don't take credit cards. They only take COM data and EFS. That's it. They want a money code. But you know, if you have this card here, you can run your trucking company without no worries. Just log in, issue the money code, and away you go. If you have if you have these cards like NASTIC, you're running that, you can't issue a money code, then you're there until the broker gets up that next day. And I've seen this happen. A driver was delivered to Kroger down here in Michigan, and they closed at 1 o'clock. He couldn't get a com check from the broker, so it's 1 a.m. now. You know what this driver had to do? What do you think, Dean?
Go to the ATM machine.
No. They unload trucks from 6 p.m. until 1 a.m.
Oh, that's right. He had to come back.
You can't get your bills until you give them that COM data or EFS check. So what did they have to do? They had to sit there from 1 a.m. all the way until 6 p.m. and take them in the EFS check or the COM data check, the code. So they wasted a whole nother day because they couldn't write or issue that code. Because the broker wouldn't answer the phone, right? So they lost their whole day. So if that ever happens to you once, the savings that you might get, which if you got a good discount here, is probably the same or better than these. And if these are a little bit better, one time that happens to you negates that whole savings the whole year. Because what's a day's revenue?
Maybe $1,000.
Right.
Maybe $1,000.
And these cards are only going to be cents away from each other, right? 4 cents, 5 cents.
Right.
What else?
But here's another one for you, Jeff. So I'll start with this one. And this is just, I don't know. Look, have you, this really doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about, but I thought about it. You know what, the last 2 years, Walmart was letting us go in there. They would unload our truck, or they would unload the truck or the trailer, and then they would say, We will email the bills to you. Remember that last couple
Oh,
years?
oh yeah, that was garbage. But yeah,
But now they're not doing that anymore. But think about how much time that saved us. Uh, last couple years, you go into Walmart, you could leave. I forgot what they called it, and then they would just email you the bills.
but I didn't like that system.
I didn't either, only because so I used to call the broker, get permission to do it. If they gave me permission, then I would do it. But I was still sketched out because what if you don't get all the pay? I mean, it could be a nightmare.
If you don't get the bills, that broker's
Right.
not going to pay you.
That's right.
Right?
That's what I was worried
Just,
about. Yeah.
just like I just went through that with ineligible bills. Right? Until I gave them bills that were legible, they refused to pay.
Right.
Even though you have the Walmart stamp and you got the record saying they received it, they would not pay until they had the legible bills.
Right.
Even though Walmart gave that page, right?
Yeah.
Said they received it all. Had their little mark on it. Broker refused
Hey,
to
look.
pay.
Walmart's come a long way, though, Jeff. I remember in the 90s, I mean, you would sit there
Oh my
12,
God, you'd
14,
be there all day.
14. Yeah, it'd be 12, 14 hours. They've come a long way. But the next one for your list, Jeff, is driver files.
Yes. That's correct. Driver files. We use my driver files, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that is, go to the Trucker Education Network website, the T.E.N Go there, click on the yellow truck down at the bottom, take you right to the driver files. And that program will save you a lot of time.
A lot of time.
A lot of time. If you're running driver files through anything else but these folks with this digital file program, and you're paying some company, and I know some people are paying hundreds of dollars a month, this beats them hands down.
Yes.
Because,
And they also have vehicle files as well. That's their sister
Right.
deal. Yeah.
but what makes these guys so great that beats all the other systems out there, like what is it, Hire Right and all these other ones, because those are super
Yeah.
expensive.
They are.
Super expensive, right? These guys are as low as $5 a driver. If you don't have a whole lot of drivers, what is it, Dean? Like $6, $5.99?
Yeah, $5.99. $5.99.
But here's what they do. If you hire a driver, right, for I think it's $9.99. I think it's $9.99. They will do the 3-year history on that driver, so you don't have to do it. Basically $10, and it doesn't matter if that guy had 20 companies he was at in 3 years or one. It's still the one price. We'll call it $10. I think it's $9 and something. Well worth it. So the way that works,
Yeah.
Dean, is when you hit hire, right? You hit the hire button.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have
To add a driver.
you have
To
the
add
safety,
a driver, right?
Right. You have the safety work history there, and it'll be
Right.
grayed out. It's not a green check mark yet because let's say you didn't go out there and check this guy's 25 jobs he had yet, right?
Right.
You pay driver files. The 9 something, 10, we'll call it $10. You can hire the driver, they can start working, and in 30 days, within the 30-day period, they will upload the responses from all 25 of those companies. And better yet, if they can't get a hold of them, there's the good faith, right?
Right.
The good faith rule. Well, what would most guys and gals that have small carriers do that doing it themselves? They would just say they try to get a hold of somebody, right?
Right.
But these guys
Couldn't
do it
get it.
legal because the one lady is a retired DOT auditor,
Yep.
right? So what she does is she writes a nice time frame of everything. If they mailed it, they faxed it, or whatever, she keeps track of all those attempts and writes that little
Yep.
letter part and sticks it in the file.
And not only that, but you're going to get a newsletter every month with the updated changes on the states, the
Right.
motor vehicle records, and at the end of the year, you're going to get an alert to remind you to do a query on, even if
Right.
it's just on yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. You're going to get your reminders for annual review.
Yep.
You'll get your reminders for the clearinghouse query, reminders for your driver's license, reminders for your medical card, and
Yep.
you know what else I use this program for? They got custom reminders. Did you know that?
I did.
Okay, so you know what I set up in the custom reminder? What do you think I
Medical
set up?
card or driver's
No.
license.
Nope, in the custom reminder, because they'll remind you for those automatically. Driver's
Okay.
medical card. I put in there the longevity bonus. Right?
Dang.
Because
So I'm coming up. I should be coming up on a bonus.
Yeah. So what it tells me, it'll send me an email.
Come
Right.
on, man.
And it'll say the dean is coming up on his anniversary date. So then I'll go into Axis and change your percentage from 80.5 to 81, or 81.5 to 82, wherever you're at in the system, right?
105.
So that way I never miss it. So everybody that's leased on over here, I put that in there when I fill out the driver file. That way I don't miss nothing. That's a great system.
It is. And the vehicle files, I use both. I use the driver files and I use the vehicle files.
Vehicle files, right.
And that's good too. You know, I always do a quarterly inspection for the equipment, no matter what. But it just reminds you of different things, right? And it keeps track of all your maintenance on truck and trailer. It separates them, your registration. I mean, everything. It does everything.
Well, yeah, and Axis does too.
Right, it does. Yes. Yep.
Axis TMS has a good maintenance program in there also.
They do.
Right? And Samsara and the ELD also, they have stuff too.
They do. And you can keep track of your fuel in Samsara if you wanted to, I guess, you know.
You could, but...
Yeah.
But like Axis TMS has its own driver file system.
They do.
And they say, well, why do you use this, Jeff? Because this one's electronic.
Right.
Right?
Right. No manual entry.
No manual entry, and this is super easy. You want to run PSP report, MVR report, your CDLIS report. All you gotta do is click the mouse 3 times. Click, click, click. Runs them all for you.
Yep.
And then sticks them in the file. And then you can download all those files on your computer. So that way, if something did happen, you got files you can print out for hard copies.
Yep.
It's just a great system. And it also tells you what a lot of people don't understand. Do you know what you're supposed to, I'll ask you, Dean. Can I put you on the spot? See if you know the answer?
Go ahead. Let's try it.
All right, let's try it. Let's see if you can give the right answer.
All right.
All right. Here we go. If you go get a new medical card, right?
Right.
Right? You re-up your medical card.
Yep.
What's the first thing you got to do?
You need to register it with your license.
Right.
With your state.
Right. So you got to make sure it's state registered, right?
Yep.
But what do you have to do
Oh, you need to upload that into driver files.
Right. But in driver files will let you know this. But
Right.
what else do you have to do? You got to do a
What
lot
else?
more when you receive the medical card. What else you got to do?
Oh man.
Here, I'll
Oh
start
wait.
writing
So
it.
wait. So do you have to send them that? Do you have to send? In this case, it's myself. But don't you have to send them something? They sign it. I can't remember.
You got to run a new MVR.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Dang, man, I failed, bro.
And why do you got to run that?
Once a year.
Yeah, no. You got to run it once a year. But let's say you ran it already for the annual.
Okay.
3 months
All right.
later, you update your medical card. You got to rerun the MVR.
To make sure it's linked up.
Well, you got to rerun it so you make sure that it's registered with the state.
Okay.
Or
Right.
if you go across the scale and they didn't update your medical card, you're red tagged. You can't go anywhere
Right.
because you have no medical card on file on your driver's license.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Plus, you got to do one other thing. You got to upload this. You got to upload this document into driver files. And I bet
Yes.
you a lot of people out there that are owner operators that have their own authority aren't doing any of this, right? But you
Right.
got to do another national registry form, right? You got to fill out another national registry form. You know why you got to have this?
I don't.
Because the doctor or the nurse practitioner.
Oh yeah.
that filled
You
this
got to
card
do the
out,
search on the doctor. Right.
You got to make sure they're there. So
You got to
just
make sure
can't do
that's
the search.
approved.
You actually
Right.
got to upload the form to prove that you did the search.
Right. Or the screenshot. Like there was no form on mine. She said just do a screenshot. That's what I did.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, in the driver files program that you're using,
Okay.
go to the national registry part on your file,
Okay.
open it up. There's a thing that says download form, right? So you download the form on your computer. It's PDF.
Okay.
Just fill it out. Put your name, driver's license number, the doctor, the registry number, then you sign it and date it. And then you upload
Right.
it. Then you upload the file back
Okay.
in. So that way,
Okay.
that way, if you get audited on your driver files, they'll go right here and they'll make sure that this form matches this card.
Right. Okay.
Because if you have an old form in there from the old card, it's not valid, right? You could get
Right.
dinged.
But what if it's the same doctor? I'm just trying to play devil's advocate or give you another way to look at it. But what if the guy uses the same clinic? Do you still have to do the query on the physician to make sure they're still DOT approved?
What I would do,
Because not all of them anymore are DOT approved. Can't do it, right?
Yes, you need to do it because their registry number might have ran out. It's dated.
Right. And it'll say that on the medical card when it expires.
Right.
Right.
And another thing, what DOT would do if they come in to audit this, if it was the same doctor, they would say, "Oh, well, this is dated 2020, but you did your physical in 2022."
Right.
Right? The form doesn't match the card.
Gotcha.
So,
I need to check mine. I think I did it, but I'll double check.
Right. So that's why
Because I
it's
think,
good to have a,
but in driver files, it makes you do that. I believe. I don't think you can go past it. Like you can't go past go unless you do that, or you can't upload it unless you click on that box.
right,
I think
it'll
it
be
forces
grayed
you
out.
to. Right.
See, in driver files, people, here's what happens. You'll have an active driver section. And if you click on your active drivers, you'll have a green check mark, right, down the row.
Yeah.
And you get to a driver that has a gray check mark. It's gray, it's not green. There's something wrong with the file.
That's right.
So you go in there to the qualification checklist and find out what's not checked green, and then fix the problem. And it keeps you, because this is where, if they do an audit on you, the driver file is where they find almost all the mistakes. Because it's a lot of paperwork. And if you're doing it by paperwork, you say, oh, I'm not going to spend, the $6.
$5.
Or if you have 10 drivers, I'm not paying $60 a month. I guarantee your paper files aren't accurate. Not if they've been in there 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, driver files is the bomb, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, because they sent out the newsletter, last year or the year before, that PA changed where you can't run an MVR unless you have a PA access code?
Yeah, that was just a few months ago, I think. Yeah, I think that was just a few months ago we got that email.
So you had to fill the form out and give it to them, and they got you an access code so you can run MVRs.
And they also send, because for like you that has multiple drivers in different states, they're always updating the states where you can run the MVR from their site, because it wasn't always like that. There were some they couldn't run.
Yeah, you can run all the states from their site now, right?
Right.
It's just a click of a button.
Yeah.
All right, so what time we got? I think we're what time is it, D?
It's 8:15 your time.
All right, so we got Thunder Funding, Access Truck in Office, QuickBooks, ELD, Pro Miles, My Driver Files. And people say, wow, that's a lot of programs you're using. Well, they all intertwine with each other.
Hey, Jeff, add them up and see what you come up with.
Cost
money.
wise?
Yeah.
Money. Well, Thunder Funding, that's really not money. That saves a lot of time.
Yeah, you can't really, right. It's hard to put a price on that.
So, depending on what you use, right? So, and I don't know what you're going to negotiate for prices, okay?
Free.
All right, so we have the software, trucking software, right? Now, Axis is going to be, depending on how many trucks you have in your fleet, with my discount in the description. I forget what the very first one is. You'd have to look.
Is it $60?
Yeah, it's going to be anywhere from 60 on upwards of, depending on how many trucks you got.
Yeah, right.
But I think this is 1 to 3, is it?
I think so, yes. I think you're right.
And then you got Truck in Office. And that's about
45.
45, depending on
Correct.
if you have the Pro Miles thing, so it does the miles.
It's 30. I think it's 35 if you do it without the Pro Miles. 45 if you do with the Pro Miles.
And if you need extra memory, then it's even more than that, right? The price goes up.
Right, but that'll take you a minute, right, to get to the extra memory. Yeah.
Right. This is unlimited memory. They don't charge you for memory. You can have as much memory as you want. Doesn't matter. So there's some benefit, right?
Yep.
And so trucking office around 45 for about the same amount of trucks. So there's your price for that. And you got QuickBooks. Right?
$30.
$30. So if you're in the 1 to 3 truck route there, here's what you're doing here. Then you got the Samsara ELD. That's $60.
Yep.
That's for a camera and
The
your
unit.
ELD. It might be more because they give different discounts for different levels, right? So then, what else did we have?
Driver
Pro
files.
miles.
Pro miles.
I
Driver
got pro
files.
miles. Pro
Okay.
miles. I can't tell you what I. Well, I can tell you what I get, but you're not going to get that price unless you negotiate really well.
$60.
Well, I think they start out at 75 plus $5 or $10 a truck.
Okay.
So if you're a one truck guy,
But here's the thing, Jeff. Not to
right?
interrupt you,
This would
but
be
here's the thing.
$80, right?
But if you only have one truck, Jeff, and you use all those other programs above,
Right.
you really don't
this.
need the pro miles.
No. But if you're a carrier,
Right.
right?
Right.
And let's say you have 6 trucks, right? Say you got 6 trucks. This moves to let me see. I'll tell you what it is. These are gonna make me look. 1 to 3 trucks, 4 to 8 trucks. Tier 2. So if you have 6 trucks, it's $110. This would be roughly $110 a month, roughly. Right?
Yeah, but if you have 6 trucks, that would be worth it because that IFTA is a real pain in the neck.
Here, so pro miles would be if it was $75 a month and $5 a truck, that'd be 30, that'd be 105, right? That'd be 105 a month. And then you got my driver files, right?
Yep. $5. Well, $6
$6 a driver, 6 drivers, $36.
$36, yeah.
So you got 200, 300, right? 90 is 200, $341 a month for all this. For 6 trucks.
Right.
Well, your ELD's more. Sorry. 6 trucks, that's $360.
Oh,
So
for Samsara, right? Yeah.
If you have Samsara.
Right.
So that's $641 a month for that. For 6 trucks.
Now look, Jeff, for 300 or whatever it is, $341. Think about it. If you have all that stuff above, and you're willing to do it all yourself, you could save. Even though you're spending $300, you might be saving $250 compared to a CPA, just by doing all the stuff yourself instead of farming everything out. Because a CPA might cost you $400 or $500 a month.
Right. You could take the ELD out of this equation.
Right.
You got to pay that. You're talking about a CPA or somebody to do your books, right? So
right.
We take this out of the equation. You minus $360. Right, you got
270. What did you say? 340? Yeah, 270, right?
281.
There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Right, 281 for all this. CPA is going to cost you more money than that.
Right.
If they're doing 6 trucks and keeping track of all your stuff. Well, let's throw Thunder Funding in there now, right?
Okay.
So, if you have $281 a month, and you got Thunder Funding here, then you got 6 trucks. We could agree trucks could do at least $5,000 a week, right?
Yeah. 5, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Right. So that's $30,000 a week.
Right.
That's $120K a month.
right.
So, in revenue. So let's say you're at a 2% factoring fee. Right?
Right.
That comes out to $2,400 a month. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, is your CPA going to charge you more than $281 a month to keep track of all of your data entry? For all the loads you do, for QuickBooks, all this stuff. Do your IFTA for you. Do all that stuff, because that's, if you're giving all that for them to do, so you don't do none of it, they're going to charge you more than $281 a month.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, $2,400 a month. What's that do for you? Well,
It gives you a lot of it gives you a lot of cash flow, and if you have drivers, it keeps them happy because they're making money every day.
I include payroll in there, so it's a billing department.
Right.
It is a collections department, and it's also a payroll department. Do they do your payroll? No, but they keep you. They keep your cash flow, so you can do payroll. Right?
Yep.
It's mainly your billing and collections department. Now, if you hired somebody to do that for you on 6 trucks, what do you think it's going to cost you?
Whew.
For someone to sit in an office and sit in all the invoices, do all that, call all these brokers every single day to try to collect the money that they're not wanting to pay you. What do you think that's going to cost?
500, 600?
No.
Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, a month.
A lot of money.
You
a
gotta
lot
pay
of
a
money.
person a month. So what if you hire somebody, they're a 40-hour-a-week person? Or a 20-hour-a-week?
Well, yeah, so it could cost you more than maybe the $2,000 a month that you're doing the factoring.
Bingo.
Right. But you figure, well, let's just say $700 a week. That's $2,800 a month, right? I mean,
more than
$700
that.
a week is nothing, right?
Yeah, it's more than this.
Right.
Somebody has to do it.
Right.
And then you have some guy say, well, I just do it myself. Well, while they're spending all their time doing this, don't they can make more money doing something else in their business?
That's right.
Exactly, they could. And not only that, if they did it themselves, and they're not using a factoring company, and they have 6 trucks, how much money are they floating out of their own money every single month?
A lot.
Well, you got the $120K right here, right? But you also have fuel in that for 6 trucks.
Right.
Right?
That would be 12. So if you had $12,000 a week, be 48, 50, 60,000 a month.
So they'd be basically $200K a month.
Yeah.
Now here's where, if you're smart and you know numbers, I'm going to go with the factory company every day before I do it myself. And why is that, Dean? What am I going to do with that $200K? What am I going to do with it?
Well, you can keep it in your account, number one. Number two, you can pay your drivers. And number three...
What am I going to do with it? Because I wouldn't pay my drivers that money. I wouldn't have to because I'm factoring.
With what money? What money are you talking about?
If you don't factor and you have 6 trucks, you have to have at least $200K of your own money out there, right?
Right.
It's paid fuel stops, it's paid drivers, and if it goes past 30 days from all these loads for this 120, Now this 200K goes to 250 or 300 because
Because
you're
you're into
not
the next
getting
month.
you're not
Right.
getting that money in. So
Right.
now you have to have a bigger bankroll.
Right.
So we'll just call it 250. I'm gonna use a factory company. So you know what I'll do with the 250 grand?
What?
I'm gonna invest it.
Right. Right.
And if I make
That's
1%,
That's
1%
Jeffrey Leifer.
on a 250K, how much money is that? It's $2,500.
Right.
So you know what that done? Factoring is free, my friend. Free.
Right.
I actually made money. I have all these people working for me, and it didn't cost me nothing. I actually made money. I made money. That's only making 1% on that money every month. And that's really easy to do,
Right.
right? You could easily make 2%. You could easily make 2% or 5 grand. You could easily make 5 grand on 250 a month.
And if you take that same scenario and put that on the one truck, one trailer guy or gal, if you go
Okay,
6
let's
weeks
do
without,
that.
if you go 6 weeks without making a paycheck, we'll say a paycheck, right? One, you're chasing money, and number two, if you break down in that time frame and you have to, and now you put that money or that repair on a credit card, what's the interest on that credit card? And now you just incurred more expenses. But not to mention, especially in this market, because I've talked to Thunder Funding several times, look, you just don't know credit-wise who's going to be good today and who's going to be good tomorrow. You have no idea.
Right. So you're a single guy doing 8,000 miles, and we're going to make this easy, Dean. We're going to say it's 8 miles per gallon, right? That's 1,000 gallons, right? And let's say it's $4.50 a gallon, right? So he's got
Okay.
$4,500.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's in a month. That's his fuel bill, right?
That's right.
And let's say he does 7,000 a week. That's
Right.
28 grand.
28,000. Yeah.
So he's got 32.5. And let's think about this, folks. He's not going to quick pay because quick pay is the same as factoring. Care what you say, same as factoring. You're paying a percentage. You're paying a fee. So here a guy is with $32,500 at the 30-day mark. Right? 30-day mark. Now you got brokers that say we pay 30 days. Well, not exactly. It's 30 days once they get the paperwork. You've already incurred the fuel. You're on your next load before you send them the paperwork. But let's say they don't pay you in 30 days because times are tough for them. They go 40. So you'll have some loads that carry over. So this 32 will go, let's say, to 40K. So what would this guy's factoring fee be? If he did $28,000 and you got, what, 2.5, 2.75?
Yeah, $300, something like that. Less than that, maybe 250. But 3 times 2 is 6, so $600. The most would be 600, right? 3%.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you take 28,000, right?
Times, if you just do times 3, it'd be like 560, right?
Yeah,
575.
Yeah, if he gets 2 3/4, it's $770.
There you go.
Okay. There it is.
Is that right?
Because at 3%, 30 grand is 900.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
3%
You're
of
right. You're
this
right. All right.
would be 840. So
Man, I'm usually good. I'm off right now. It's wrong.
2.75. Don't worry, I'm always on when it comes to numbers, Dean. All right. So $770 a month. Let's say 28K, right? Same scenario. Let's say you take 28K and you invest it. Make 1% on that.
$280.
280 bucks. You're down to
Five something.
400, 490,
Yep.
right? If you make 2%, then that's 560, which you could probably make 2%. So 560, you're down to $210 is all you're spending for factoring in a month. But what do you have? You have all your cash,
Right.
right? You have it all in the bank. And your time. That's your thing, right? Time.
Time, baby, time.
You let Thunder Funding's guys and gals call these brokers day in and day
Yep.
out to collect that money.
Yeah, don't chase the money. That's a waste of time.
Don't chase the money because
Waste
they
of
just
time.
send them letters saying, "Hey, we're gonna affect your credit. You don't pay us, you're not gonna get factored ever again,
Right?
right? Because they're gonna send into the credit. You can't do that.
Look, I had Thunder Funding help me out on one, and I won't mention the broker name, but I had a situation in the summer. I got a Raycon for a Tanu, and the Tanu was actually for the full amount because that's the agreement that I had with them, right? And
Right.
so it was like $1,000. Well, it was about 2.5 months. And here's the thing: people say, well, if they don't pay in 30 days, they're going to charge you back. No, Thunder Funding never charged me back. In fact, they called me and they said, "Hey, Robert, blah blah blah," and I said, "Look, I'll send them an email." And so we worked it out. But look, they could have, I suppose. I mean, I would think most companies, especially nowadays, they probably would have charged me back, right? And then say they're going to keep working on it and maybe did nothing. But look,
Well,
they stood behind me. They stood behind me and they said, well, send us what you have again. So I sent it to them and they said, no. This is a Raycon. They have to pay this.
Right.
And we got paid.
Well-
And I never saw a chargeback.
Well, yeah, they go 60 days, right?
Yeah.
They'll go out
I think
60
this
days.
will go longer. Yep.
And then they will go longer, right? They will go longer as long as, they're working the thing out, right? So if you had a claim and the broker didn't pay and you work that
Right.
out and the broker says, yeah, we're going to pay as soon as we get these documents and it takes a little longer, they'll work it out and, until they get the money,
Right.
right?
And here's the other thing, Jeff, to tie in what you had on the board. So if you have all your stuff laid out like you did up there, not only do you have your fuel card, but you got your fuel card, your factoring company. You can log into EFS. You can know what your fuel expenses are. You can run it by the day, the week, the month, the year. And you can also log into Thunder Funding and see what brokers are slow paying, taking too long. Maybe they're
Right.
going longer than 30 days. So
Right,
you
see,
can
that's what-
you can get ahead of this, right?
That's what people understand. The guys that don't factor, they're hurting themselves and their business. And this is why. Exactly what you said. You can go in there, you can look at all your brokers that pay within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? You can see the whole portfolio. You say, well, that broker there, he's taking 45 days to pay. But you know that because it's all right there.
Right.
Right? They have all those reports and tools to where a person doesn't use that, they have no clue. No clue.
No, and you can also see, if you log in there to Thunder Funding, you can see what your mix of business is. What broker
Right.
am I hauling a lot of loads for? And it'll break it all down. It gives you a pie chart, the whole bit.
Right.
And so the guys that like the spreadsheets and things laid out, it does it all for you. You don't have to do anything.
Nash, you call Scott Kennedy, tell him we sent you, Truckers Education Network. You can get in there without a reserve. Just call him. I have a reserve still up to date. Do I need to have a reserve? No. But I have it for a reason.
Yeah. Me too.
Right?
You never know.
You never know. CDN says, I expect in the coming months and days to pay by some brokers will increase. It will. It will increase. And that's the good thing about Thunder Funding. Another thing is you can go to your account and you can see exactly how much you factored in the year. So when you do your tax return, you know exactly how much your company's made, gross. Because that's what you get. The quickest way to get an IRS audit is not have that top number correct. Right? So, Dean,
Right.
let's say you made $358,000, right?
Yeah.
And you're not using Thunder Funding. You're doing it yourself. Right? You're doing it yourself.
Right.
You hauled for 75 brokers. How many
Good
of those
luck.
75 are going to send you a 1099?
Maybe two.
Right. You get two 1099s out of 75.
Yeah. Good
And
luck.
If you don't keep good books, how do you know this number?
Right.
How do you know this 358? How do you know that?
Well, you know how if you didn't keep anything, I guess you could, one could argue, well, I have my TMS, okay, but that's something. But what if you made a mistake when you entered it?
Right.
Then that number still would match
Right.
what the patron company has.
So let's say you claim 348 to the government. What's going to happen?
You're going to get a bill for 10 grand.
You're going to get an IRS statement in the mail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's say you don't know your number and you report 368. This is where America's messed up. What's going to happen if you report 368?
They're going to want the taxes owed on the difference.
Well, yeah, you're going to pay the tax on 368 when you only did 358. And they're not going to
Right.
tell you.
Right.
Because if they got 1099s that equal 358, they figured you had $10,000 from other resources that wasn't claimed. Right? They're not going to send a letter to you saying, hey, Dean, we only have showing 358 for you, not 368. They'll never tell you if you put over. They'll just take your money.
Right.
They will never tell you. Because you could have done a lot of jobs that were under $600, which requires no 1099. Right?
Yep.
Ask any factory company if they only work 3 to 4 hours a day. None. A team is chasing pay from brokers daily. Factory companies is your ARAP. You're not chasing payments. They are. For the, well, it's not going to be 6% fee here in the state, CDN. Like Thunder Funding, you can get a really good rate. 3% or below, right? Right, Dean?
Well, yeah, 3%. Yep.
Or, if you're a good negotiator, you might get below.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, you can
never-
negotiate that. I mean, it's up to you, right?
It's negotiating, right? But the best thing about Thunder Funding is this. They don't do a year contract, right? It's a 90-day agreement. So
Right.
you're not stuck at a year where most of these companies do that. So at the 90-day mark, if you're doing a lot of volume, you can go back and try to negotiate on some fees and things like that. Yeah, this is non-recourse. It's non-recourse. CDN is Thunder Funding. Any ACH fees? Yes and no. Because if you know the system, you know how to get around that. And the way that is you have everything going on your fuel account, and then you ACH from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing, Jeff. If you factor, you never have to worry about having, guys are worried about fuel money. If you factor, you don't have to worry about that.
That's
It's right on your fuel card.
Right. See, all the contractors here at Light Trucking that use the EFS card fuel off the company's money. Right? Just like if you're with Schneider, Swift, JB, or any of those guys. Right? So if you use our fuel card, it all comes from Light Trucking, and then off your settlement, we deduct the money back. Right? So you don't have to have that in your own pocket or nothing. And we do what most people don't do. We pay after every run. So if you do a run a day, you're getting paid every day, except the weekends. Yeah, I know, CDN. You're using it as an example. I know. But yeah, everything is negotiable. So if you're offered a certain percentage for Thunder Funding and all that, and let's say it's a little higher than some other broker, to me, it's worth it because you could renegotiate down the road. But why is it worth it? Customer service. You're not beating them on customer service.
Right.
You're not. And that's worth some money.
It is.
Because when you call them on the phone, anyone that answers that phone can take care of you and your problem. Where other companies, you got to talk to your individual person.
So, like, if you run a credit check and let's say it comes up yellow, right, questionable or whatever, and you call them, not only do they make you feel at ease, they're like, look, yeah, we'll approve it, and we'll even set aside, how much did you loan for? $3,000. All right, we'll set that amount of credit aside. So you're golden at that point. Once you make that call and get it approved, they set it aside. You're good. No worries, right?
Right.
No stress.
See, what I do is this, and Dean probably does the same thing. What you do is you take your factored bills and you have the money sent to the fuel card account.
Yep.
Which is EFS.
Right.
Then, whenever you fuel, you don't need a line of credit. You're using your own money.
Right.
So then from this, you're going to ACH to this bank, this bank, this bank, whatever banks you want, because you put the account numbers into EFS. So have all your money going here, keep enough money on there to fuel all the time, and whenever you want to pay yourself your check, you ACH it to your bank. And that way you get the discounts on that fuel card, and you never owe a dime to anybody because you're doing it every single day, right? Because if you turn in the bills, they load it up here, and then if you want to pay yourself weekly at the end of the week, say, okay, I'm gonna deliver road Tuesday. It pays $3,000. I got $8,000 on my fuel card. I have one truck. I want to keep $1,000 in there at all time. So I ACH from here, 7K or 6K if you want to leave 2K on there at all times. And that's what you do. And it just stays there in their account. Isn't that how you do it too, Dean? Just have all your money go in the EFS card?
Yeah. And I do it just like that, and then I also do a reserve account. Just you know, you never know, right? So if let's say there is there's a bad broker out there, something happens, I don't have to worry about the chargeback because I got plenty of stuff to cover it, right?
Right. Yeah. So reserve account is good for that purpose, right? I keep money in there. Do they take reserve from me every single time? No, not anymore. I've done away with that. I keep an X amount of dollars in there. And when it starts going down, I'll just call them up, Dean, and I'll say, hey, out of this next funding batch right here, put 1,000 in the reserve account. Right? So I get it back to where I like to have. So, if you like to have 5, 10, 15, 20,000 there, whatever it is, I'd say, hey, out of this next funding, because it's a lot of money, just take X amount of dollars and build the reserve back to where I should have it, where I want to have it, right?
And they'll even give you fuel money. They'll even give you fuel money if you submit the bills once you pick up the load.
Right, Nash. So if you had the EFS thing, you're doing it that way, but you took too much out of money out of there, you didn't have enough for your fuel, you could call them up, send them that bill lading, and they will put money on that fuel card.
Right,
certain percentage.
Yeah.
Right, so I was going to go somewhere else with that fuel card, but I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, man, I'm sorry, brother.
But yeah, that's why I like Thunder Funding, and I've been there for, going on 7 years or something like that? Been a long time.
Yep.
And I never switched because why? I did my homework the first time. The guys that listen to a lot of these Facebook pages and YouTube channels, everything, and they promote one company, that company's not the best out there. Because one, they lock you in for a 1-year contract. And why do they do that? Because you can't leave them. You're stuck with them. No matter how bad they are, you can't leave. Because at the end of the year, you're going to have too much out there. Right? Uncollected debt is going to be out there. And another factory company is not going to buy that.
Here's the other thing, too. We do a lot of things in our personal lives for POM, right? Peace of mind. But there's nothing better. When you submit your bills, you're going to get an email that says they received it. If you don't receive anything after that, that means that your bills are legible, everything's in good working order, and if you do it by 7 o'clock Pacific time, Monday through Thursday, we'll say, you're going to get paid the next day.
Right.
But you'll know right away if there's a problem with your bills because you're going to get an email.
Call that number that's scrolling across the screen. Talk to Scott Kennedy. Scott Kennedy. That's who you asked for. Tell him I sent you. Tell him what eCapital you're doing at eCapital, and they will beat it. I think they're given 2 weeks. It's either 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Not sure. It's at least 2 weeks of free factory. It might be as much as 4. I was on the phone with Scott before he was going to Tennessee, and I can't remember if he said 2 or 4, but that's another bonus. All right, man. I think I'm about done here. It's close to 9 o'clock, and I've been on this thing for, how long have I been on this thing?
I don't know.
1 hour and 52 minutes, bro.
Damn.
Nate Train, everything's going great tonight. It's snowing. The roads are covered.
Wow.
I'm going to have to clean the snow off the car because I'm going to have to go pick the grandson up here. I don't know.
Oh, you got to go Uber?
I got to go Uber, bro.
Oh, man. What is it? Today's, what's today? Wednesday? No, it's Thursday. Okay, so no church tonight. No church.
Yes, there is. There is church tonight.
Oh, was there? Okay.
Yeah. But the church came and picked the girls up.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have to worry about picking them up.
All right.
Because on Thursdays, they'll get out at 8:30. So they're out now, but they'll drive everybody home except for the kids that want to go, and they'll go get Stromboli.
Oh, wow. Can I get on that bus?
Yeah, so they're getting Stromboli. They get there about 9 o'clock in this restaurant on the other side of town there. Takes all their Strombolis and stuff that they made. Instead of throwing it away, they give it to the church bus there, and the kids get to eat it for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
So that's what's going on there.
Yeah, it's colder than it's cold. It's cold where I'm at. I'm in Iowa, man. It's gonna be like 16, man. The Dean is gonna be frozen in the morning, man. Oh,
look,
it is gonna be so cold, man.
Look, Shannon.
I hate the cold.
Look,
I hate it.
We'll put it up here. Put it up here.
Yeah, I can't see any comments, brother.
Okay. Shannon says, "Quit your crying, Dean. I had to sleep in my truck with no heat at 16 degrees." So she says, "Man up.
Man up." Yeah, I know.
Suck it up,
Man,
Buttercup."
it's cold. Oh, man. I hate the cold, man, with a passion, man. I hate it.
Actually, she says, "Great class, Professor. Thank you." That's what she actually said.
Yeah, I see that.
I improvised the rest.
Right.
Wait. She agrees. Suck it up, Dean.
Oh, wow.
Hey, go get a Starbucks.
Hey, listen, I had one. We were on the phone yesterday. I had 2 yesterday.
Did you get Sissy Stick?
And I didn't finish. I didn't finish the second one. I started drinking. I said, "Man, this is too much, man. Woo, it's too much."
Well, just run the truck like the old days.
Oh, man.
It's only $5 a gallon. Run that thing.
Those were the days, man. It's too bad that I was talking to a guy on the CB earlier. Man, it was. I mean, we had a lot of fun back in the day, man. A lot of fun. Now it was terrible when you had to stop at. Remember going through Nebraska? Those the rest areas all had the payphones right there by the highway, and you checked in. You couldn't hear a word. I mean, those were the days, man.
Oh yeah. You had the AT&T or some of those other cards, 800 numbers.
Calling cars.
Yeah, calling cards. 3 cents a minute, 5 cents a minute, whatever.
The worst I thought was standing in line at the Pilot waiting on that yellow phone, and they had big signs there, 15-minute limit, and you had sometimes. I mean, honestly, most of the time I got directions on the CB. I just haul out for a local somewhere, and then I'd get directions. But Uh, but that phone standing, that was horrible. That was
Well,
like terrible.
what I used to hate is because see what these new drivers don't understand is back in the old days we didn't have Google Maps.
Oh no, Thomas guy.
We had this right here. Right. Right. We had one of these.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And these were great maps because if you go in the front of them, they tell you everything you want to know about a state. Where you
Yep.
have your trailer axles at, how much weight you can have on the steers, single axles, double axles, and restricted routes, right? You'd have to look those up.
Yeah.
But
That don't mean nothing to me. I just go down them anyway and pray. I'm joking.
but that didn't get you there. So what we had to do is we had to call the receiver every single time and the shipper, ask them how to get to their facility.
That's right.
And you prayed. You prayed you didn't get that lady that answered the phone that gives you directions from her house to how to get to
Right.
work.
Right. Or
I've
to
had
the
that
mall.
happen.
Or to the mall.
Look, I had that happen. I drove
Me too.
past the exit. There was a warehouse there, no name on it. I drove past the exit, went down to the next exit, got off, drove down the road, turned the corner, drove up another road, turned another corner, and came back to that same warehouse that was right at an exit. And what she had done is she gave me directions on how she gets to work.
Right. Yeah.
That was the day. Wasn't that the day? Wasn't that?
Oh
great day?
man. I'll tell you what, we talked about it before, but I remember when the Flying J got the phones at the booths, right? You sit there, eat dinner, and they put the phones there on the booth. So we thought we were living the dream back in the day,
Well,
especially
you
when
lived
those phones came out.
but then they had orange ball 76s, right?
Oh
The
yeah,
orange
the
ball 76s.
76s. Those were something else.
And you went in there, and they turned those into TAs. But when you went into there,
Yeah.
they had the TVs at every booth with quarter.
Right.
You put a quarter in it,
Yeah.
and you could watch the local channel while you ate for a quarter. Well, that was they gave you about 15 minutes, right? 10 or 15 minutes and a quarter.
Yeah. Black and white.
Yeah, black and white.
Black. Yeah.
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 All right.
Those. Hey, how about showers were $5 and you gave a $5 towel deposit, and if you didn't have the $5, gave
They
you
didn't
keys,
charge
your license, whatever.
Well, yeah, but back in them days, we had to buy the $5 or $7 trailer permit to go into California. You had to take that little $7 trailer permit, fill it out, stick it in the nose of your trailer
Yeah. Yeah.
for a
I
3-day
remember
pass
that.
or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
So you had to get 2 or 3 of those in case you got stuck there.
How about when you used to go to Wyoming and you always had? I remember going through Wyoming. I had to always stop, take the cab card in every
Yes.
time.
Yeah, you
Every-
had to,
every
every
time.
time you had to stop. Everybody had to stop.
Yeah.
That's why people wonder why that parking lot's so big. Everybody had to stop and walk.
Right. Hey, how much were Catskills back then? Were the Catskills $5 and $1 re-weigh?
They were $5 in a free re-weigh.
When I started, I think it was $1, but maybe you're right. It might have been free. I can't remember.
No, it was when it went to $7, they charged $1 re-weigh.
Okay. I knew it was 5, so it was 5 and free, and then 7 and 1.
Yeah, they gave you, I think, 1 free re-weigh back then.
Hey, how about this? I was talking to another guy. Remember, we used to go across the scales, right? So, Catskills were very, very hard to find back in the day. There wasn't many of them. You just had certified scales, what they had, right? Most of the truck stops. But remember, we used to pull on the scale, and another guy that was sitting there parked, he would come up and say, Hey, do you need to move? Remember? And we all used to help each other slide our tandems because
Right.
pulling those things up, they wouldn't move,
Right.
you know, because you could jump in and out if nobody helped you 100 times before you got that pin to release. But
Right.
that's just some of the stuff that, man, it was so different back in the day than it is now, you know, very different.
Well, everybody got out and helped everybody back in. You know,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
helped you slide your tandems. It was a
Yeah.
different era of truck driver back then.
It was, yeah, just, it was, man, it was,
Right. There was none of this drama. None of this drama. Because no one
no,
had
heck no.
phones. There was no social media. Right? The only
No.
social media you got was at the round table or the horseshoe table at the truck stop where you heard all the
Right.
stories, right? Well, I'm not going to do that. I'll call the U.S. Marshal. You know, okay. U.S. Marshal
Hey,
going to show up for
that's
you.
got to be like the biggest myth or trucker story out there. If they want to get in my truck, I'm calling the marshals. Like, who the heck is going to do that? You know what I
Right.
mean?
They never show up.
Right. Unbelievable.
I'll read CDN's thing and then I'm done. Let's see what he's got to say. Well, let's go to this one. Man, he's really talking a lot today. Let's see. Too bad truck stops don't have plug-in post for your shore plug-in. Then again, drivers would hit those plug-in, causing explosions and fires. Dude, when they came out with Park and View, that thing
Oh my
got
gosh.
trashed.
Fuck. Oh, they still have some of those in the ground today at like the Bosselmans and stuff. They're still in there.
You'd take your 50, 60 foot of telephone cable and then your regular cable, and you plug them in there and run that stuff all the way down the side of your truck and in the side window.
Yeah. I used to run it out my vent. I used to run it out
Right.
my sleeper vent. Yeah.
Right. Poke it through the little slot there.
Yeah.
Yep. What
Yeah,
else did he
man.
say?
We thought and half the time it never worked.
Right, but we thought we were the
living
shit
large.
there, didn't
Oh, we did.
we? When I started as a broker 16 to 17 years ago, truck stops allowed pre-buy bought purchases. If price went down, carriers would pay prepay, say $5,000, then drivers could fill up at lower rates. Well, I think Pilot and them still does that, right? These big mega carriers buy a big block of fuel, do they not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
All right.
you know, there was a story about the big conglomerates buying a lot of fuel, and then the smaller people. This just recently, then they couldn't get any fuel. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting off here, Dean. I've been on here too long.
All right, brother.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. If you want any of these tools that we use on this channel, what Dean uses and a lot of other people use, call those folks up. Just let them know we sent you. And thanks for watching.